All right, I'm Chris Avena with the American Outdoor News Podcast, and I'm here today with my friend Greg Thompson from Girl Dad Outdoors Podcast. Greg, thanks for taking the time to speak to us today. We got a lot to talk about.
Oh, thanks for having me, Chris. I appreciate it.
So, Girl Dad Outdoors, you obviously have daughters. How'd that start? Well, I know how the daughter started. How'd the podcast start?
Well, you just wiped out 3 minutes of the story. No, it's 4 daughters, and
Wow.
they're all very different. Growing up, I always wanted to be in the outdoors. Becoming a young adult, I finally had the time to get to the outdoors. And then you throw 3 kids 20 months apart. So a single and then twins 20 months apart. And then I have a stepdaughter who's 4 years younger. And so they were always battling, and they're very individual. So trying to figure out how to get them to do things with me without complaining the whole time. I'm
Yeah.
like, how can I take these stories and tell my story, but more importantly, tell the stories of other dads and other daughters of what they did and the trials and tribulations and the funny stories that brought them to spending time outdoors.
And there's always funny stories when you bring the kids into the outdoors. Yeah.
Absolutely.
So do all the girls hunt, or are they just like different aspects of the outdoors?
Different aspects, and that was the big thing. And that's one of the things that I'm trying to focus on is when I say girl dad outdoors, a lot of people just think hunting and fishing, right? But the
Uh-huh.
whole premise is anything outside, because once you get them comfortable being outside, it can lead to anything else. So the
Yep.
oldest, she does everything: hunts, fish, goes foraging with her boyfriend, all of that. The oldest twin, when she goes hiking, she puts in her AirPods. It's all about getting to the end of the hike. She could give two craps less what's along the way. So it's all about starting and ending.
Well, with
The
the earpods in, you might not know if there's a coyote or a bear behind you.
She also doesn't know if her family's behind her, because there's been multiple times where she's taken a different trail and stands there waiting for people and no one ever arrives. So that's I'm trying to break her of that, but we'll see how that goes. And then
Well, part of enjoying the outdoors, not just putting your earpods
exactly.
in and zoning out. It's
Yeah.
listening to the sounds around you, listening to nature, the birds, the squirrels.
Yeah.
You might hear a bear barking somewhere off in the distance, or a coyote
Exactly.
howling. There's so much.
Yeah, and even in her early 20s, right? Still trying to work through that and understand that it's not about the start and the finish, it's all the things in between. Because her twin sister, she's all about the things in between. Like, she'll always start something, getting her somewhere. It's a monumental task because there's a squirrel around every corner, right? Like, what's going on? What's
Yep.
going on? What's this? And as it relates to hunting, she won't kill an animal, but she loves to shoot. She will shoot all day long. She loves it, but she's also my scout. Like, when she was young, she didn't want to do anything related to hunting, but we'd get up early, we'd go get a coffee drink, and we'd drive and we'd scout. We'd see what we can see, we'd map out what we saw and start making plans, and I can implement her in that way. And then the youngest, London, we moved, once the older girls graduated, we moved to outside of a little town of 160 people to get her more around people that she could bond with. She was not a city kid. She had a knife collection. She can flesh a beaver better than most men. We always joked either she's going to be a serial killer or a taxidermist. So it's because she just has just that great manual dexterity, not afraid of animals, and enjoys all aspects of it, including not just killing but making things with pelts. We do a lot of trapping, so even taking the pelts and producing something valuable out of it. So all from going for a hike to making mittens. We all four of them, we
Oh,
cover
that's
all
great.
gamuts. Yeah.
See, I can definitely identify with that, because my son, although he loves the outdoors, he loves going out in the woods, he loves hopping on my ATV and disappearing for hours. He loves to shoot. He loves my crossbow, will not shoot an animal. And that's okay.
Absolutely.
Uh, my requirement was that he gets to know the outdoors and he knows how to handle a firearm safely. He checked both boxes, and he could do whatever he wants now.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's such a key component. Even if you're not gonna hunt, firearm safety is such a good thing to have your kids go through, just because you never know whose house they're gonna be at, and
Yep.
what how they handle gun safety can be different than you. So that's such a good tactic to have them go through that.
And, as, being in this industry, we tend to travel quite a bit.
Yes.
If I'm not home, somebody breaks in. He knows how to defend himself, defend his mother, defend the home. Um, it's important.
Absolutely, it is. Yep. And even, as I related to being a girl dad, all of my girls know how to protect themselves. All of them know how to handle a firearm, know what to do if someone were to get in the house. And once they're out of the house, that's such a secure feeling because it's constant worry, right? All of a sudden it's out of your control, but at least you've set them up to protect
Yeah.
them when you're not around.
Well, in today's climate, people don't have any regard for human life. So being able to protect yourself and being able to make sure the family is secure, yeah, that's a good feeling.
Absolutely. And understanding the responsibility every time you pick that gun up.
Yeah. And, it's knowing that if you're going to pick it up and point it at someone, you better be willing to pull that trigger. Pray to God you don't have to, but at the end of the day, push comes to shove, it's you with them.
Absolutely. Yep. No, so I'm glad you brought that up because that's something that's important to both of us, and it is something good for everyone to go through. Even if you're not a gun owning family, it's still good to know what to do if you're around them.
Sure. Sure. So, who is the fisherman? Who is the hunter? And who's the forager?
All right. So the oldest is Miss Do Everything. She hunts, she fishes, she forages, she's outside. The youngest hunts. We were out on Lake Superior fishing yesterday, through the ice. We were out fishing. She's the one. She'll skin any animal. She'll do all of that. And then my twins, it's hit or miss. They'll go fishing. They'll they'll go hunting. The oldest twin, she loves to shoot
Yeah,
deer. She doesn't want the work associated with it. Her first deer she
that's
shot.
half the fun.
Oh, well, yeah. She got the joy of scouting, sitting, shooting her first deer, and she's like, I kind of like this. How about if I just come out and shoot him and you do everything else? I'm like, no. So,
You drag them out, you field dress them.
yeah, that's not how this works, buddy. No.
Yep.
Yeah, so
Yeah,
that's all of them at different levels still fish, and still hunt, except for Ava. That's the twin that just shoots, but they all do little bits and pieces here and there, and that's one of the things that I try to instill in the podcast is doing these things early. As a dad, it's so meaningful, even if they don't do it all the time. The few times a year that they want to do something comes back, it's so meaningful. Or when they're with their boyfriend and all of a sudden they're teaching them something that you've taught them. It's like,
yeah.
yeah, you don't need no stinking boy. You got this.
Well, we're in a time where 20 years ago, it wasn't that common. You see a woman picking up a gun, going out into the field. And now the fastest growing demographic is a woman in the outdoors. It's more commonplace. And quite honestly, I've hunted with a lot of women and, they'll hunt circles around me.
Absolutely. They have a lot more patience than us.
Well, they're more teachable than us.
Yeah. Well, they have a
Guys
lot more
have
yeah.
egos. I got this. I know what I'm doing. No, you really don't.
You went a different way than me. I was going to say they have more patience than us, not more patience with us. So, no,
Yeah,
it's
it's really an experience being out in the field with a woman that knows what she's doing, and she could actually teach you something, or
absolutely.
teach me something.
I mean, I'm not embarrassed to say it. My wife can outshoot me any day of the week. She's just so calm and so relaxed. It's like she just got it dialed, and I'm okay with that.
That's
I
okay.
Yeah.
It At the end of the day, it's who's bringing home the deer.
Yeah, and you said something that's important that, now more women are coming into hunting. When my oldest, her first year deer hunting, I belonged to a deer camp where there had never been no one brought a daughter, no one brought a female
Uh-huh.
there, and they were older guys. So I had to add. I just said she's coming. There's nothing about it. A couple guys complained a little bit, but it was just great when she got there. Everyone catered to her. Everyone adapted, and she had an absolute blast. And we talked about funny stories. I go out the last day, help the older guys take their stands down. I come back and she's just squirrely as all get out. She drank 4 mellow yellows because one of the old guys let her just sit and drink as many mellow yellows as she wanted. And,
Yep.
even, the wood pile, she's out getting wood, throwing it up on the deck for the wood stove. And she's standing where every guy pees. And I'm like, hey, Liv, you're standing in pee. And she looks down and she goes, they're mom's Uggs. I don't care. We still
Yeah,
laugh about that one.
I had a deer camp. We had a club, about 30 members, and all kids were welcome. And didn't matter if you're a little boy, little girl, bring them up, introduce them to the outdoors. As long as they adhered to the camp rule, what happens at deer camp stays at deer camp.
Yeah, yep. It's it's amazing, but that's also good to know, especially with social media. Everything is shared.
Yeah. Yeah.
Especially like you go on a hike with a kid, 8 years old to 25 years old. It's not about what you're seeing, it's about what you're sharing with everyone else in real time. And you don't even really
Yeah.
take the time to enjoy it yourself because you're so worried about showing everyone else what you're doing. That having those rules of what happens here stays here in a very clean format. It's not like Vegas, right? It's a hunting
Yeah.
camp. Yes.
It's very different. Yeah.
Absolutely, but it's so powerful that you can have memories that stay internalized, that you share with a close group of people.
Yeah. You know, having all the kids up there, they all, hung out together, although they loved hanging out with the adults around the table, dinner, bantering back and forth. They like that.
Absolutely.
Seeing them all jump on the ATVs and they all disappear into the woods together as a group, following each other. It's nice. It's
Absolutely.
really nice.
Yep. We do, me and my best friend, he had twins 6 months after I had twins. So that set grew up together, and we'd take them grouse hunting, and we'd grouse hunt during in the morning, come back, and then they'd mess around shooting whatever, because he has a shooting range at his place, and jump on four-wheelers, come back at night, get in the Jeeps, go run around. It was just constant fun, but good, clean fun, good bonding, and great memories, right?
Now, you're primarily freshwater fishing, correct?
Correct. Yeah, we like to sneak down to Gulf Shores, Alabama, and then we'll head down, a few times a year, but we freshwater fish all the time.
Yeah, we're primarily saltwater by me. I'll take my son out fishing. We'll go on a party boat for the day. As we had discussed, I host a tuna fishing trip every summer out of Montauk. Um, have some good sponsors. Great experience. Everybody has a blast. And whether you catch something or not, you still walk away with something.
Uh, yeah, no, that sounds like a great trip, and it's so different, right? Yesterday, for example, is for Minnesota and Wisconsin people. It's like as close as we can get to salt water. We were out ice fishing on Lake Superior. So it's a big body of water, catching salmon. So
Nice.
yeah, catching cohos yesterday, which is a treat for us. So it's but saltwater is different, and
Well,
it's
fishing the Great Lakes is not so dissimilar to
no,
deep sea fishing.
yeah. The only
The
difference
Great
is,
Lakes are huge.
yeah. But if you don't see a whale surfacing, you don't see dolphins.
No, we do see dolphins and whales. The further we go out on the tuna trip, 30, 40 miles out, you're going to see whales and dolphins swimming alongside the boat.
Yeah,
It's a great experience.
that's the cool thing. The fishing is very similar, like you said, but it's everything else surrounding it. And, that's one of the things is, if like the trip that you're talking about, you can do a lot of these trips inexpensively. You can find trips, whether it's a 4-hour trip, a 6-hour trip, because even going out, it's not about catching it. if you bring a kid out and they get to see a dolphin swimming next to the boat, they get to see a whale breach, that's imprinted. That doesn't go away. The catch is
Yep.
so irrelevant that that experience is something that that'll stick with them forever.
And that goes back to experiencing nature, getting your kids out into the woods or out onto a boat. And, whether they see a fox or a whale or a dolphin or a bear, it's all part of experiencing it.
Absolutely. And that's why I'm such a big fan of foraging, right? Because anyone who lives in the city and doesn't have access to the wilderness, right? You can
Hmm.
still go find a local trail and you can still find things to forage for, whether it's morel mushrooms, whether it's fiddleback ferns, whether it's ramps. There's so many opportunities. But the thing that it does is it forces you to walk through the woods purposefully. You're
Hmm.
looking and you're forcefully observing because you're looking for certain things. And when you have your head down and you're constantly searching for those things, you notice a whole heck of a lot more. So that's one of the first things that I recommend that you can do with kids from a young age is just get them out, teach them what a couple plants look like and get them walking because
Yeah.
they'll observe so many more things.
So, what are some of the topics that you cover on Girl Dad Outdoors?
I mean, it's really about my goal with Girl Dad Outdoors is to make it easier for guys like us who have daughters to integrate them in an easy fashion because it's not easy for everyone. First of all,
Yeah.
by nature we tend to be a little selfish, right? We want to hunt, we want it to be our experience. How do you change that? So what I do is whether it's a daughter or a dad, what are the experiences that they've had? Where are they at in their outdoor experience today? And what were the
Mhm.
things that really set the tone for them to move forward? What were those moments that imprinted on them that really drove them into the outdoors? And for some people, it has nothing to do with hunting, but it was the outdoors that they loved. And then they got a boyfriend, and all of a sudden now they're elk hunting, they're fly fishing, remote fly fishing, just the path to anything just so that a guy in the city who now has a daughter but still wants to do something with her, what's one little tip that they can take from each one of these podcasts that they can integrate so that they have a better relationship with their daughter? And it's all centered around being outside.
Well, I'll tell you, I've guided deer hunts, bear hunts, things of that nature, and being out with somebody when they harvest their first deer,
Yes.
it's like you're reliving your first experience all over again. It's exciting.
Yeah. And that's as you get older, it's funny you mention that because deer hunting, I don't really care if I shoot a deer. I spend more time setting up for success for the kids than anything else
Yeah.
because that's it. I get more satisfaction out of watching their joy of doing it than me doing it. Now, if I'm going to go somewhere and I'm going to do a big hunt, absolutely, I'm all over that. But walking out to our property, we got acreage here and then 14 miles of state land behind us. I can manicure that for them. I'll go do other things.
Sure, sure. And there's plenty to do in the off season. Uh,
Absolutely.
teach them how to cut shooting lanes or clear brush for a food plot or finding a place to set up your tree stand or ground blind.
Yeah.
Look for the natural funnels. There's a ton of things to teach.
Yeah, and that's one of the things. I have a niece who lives about 4 hours away from me, and she likes to come spend time with us, and she wants to deer hunt. So we put her through hunter's safety, got her a gun, and to keep her involved throughout the season, I share my game camera account with her. So my Spy Point account, all of the photos go to her as well. So she can look on the map, she can see where they're at, and then
Mhm.
we can look for different areas. Where do you think we should put it? Where do you think you should sit? Because even in a remote fashion, you can keep them involved and keep them engaged so that when they get here, they have some ownership and they're not just showing up and sitting on a phone and just waiting to hope to shoot something. They've got sweat equity in the adventure.
Sure, sure. It's at the end of the day, it's all a part of what we do. It's sharing the camp, sharing the experience. And being in deer camp is really half the excitement for me.
Absolutely.
You pull into camp, you see all the cars, everybody's there. You go inside, everybody's having a drink or making dinner or somebody always busts your chops when you walk through the door,
Absolutely.
or it's all part of it.
Yeah. Yeah. You're going to go there feeling great, but you're not going to feel good about yourself when you leave because everyone's going to razz the hell out of you.
Yep, that's true. But unless they're leaving the same time.
Exactly. No, so that's the goal. Just an opportunity to tell stories about women in the outdoors. And I've got great guests, and it's a broad spectrum from people who are professional hunters, Emmy-winning journalists, to cowgirls from the South. So
That's great.
so anyone listening can pick up something from any of the podcasts, because it's not just about what rifle you use, what distance are you shooting. It's about what resonated with you to make you want to spend time in the outdoors. And if it was your dad that taught you that, how does it tie back to that? So maybe you can pick up a piece and
Yeah.
integrate that into your own story.
Well, it wasn't my dad that introduced me to the outdoors. He was not an outdoorsman. He was a great dad, taught me how to play football and get involved in sports and how to train. Outdoors was not his thing. That was my uncle's job. My uncle took me hunting, took me camping, and he introduced me to the outdoors.
That's awesome, because it's the same for me. We were dairy farmers. So outside was, you were outside working. You were either milking the cows, doing something associated with the cows, cutting wood. Mom forced him to take me deer hunting when I came of age, because he was a Vietnam vet. I woke up with the dad who woke up having flashbacks and night terrors. So the last thing that he actually wanted to do was go sit somewhere with a gun, stalking something. So for him to, like, I think about this now, like trying to think about what went through his mind, just going through those actions, how much he sacrificed to do that for me. Like,
Sure.
it doesn't matter that he didn't teach me the outdoors, but just spending that time. And that, I mean, that's the most important thing.
Absolutely. And that's, getting our kids into what we do for the next generation to pass down the traditions.
Yeah.
That's the biggest part of it.
Absolutely.
That's the biggest part of
For
it.
a guy like me without a son, my hope is when there's grandkids, I've taught my daughters well enough that they're teaching the grandkids to hunt, to fish, to hike, to forage, because selfishly that'll drive them back to me and the things that I like to do. And then I can win the day, right? That's what
Sure.
this is. Let's be honest. That's what this is for.
You'll be the cool granddad.
Yeah. No, and the other thing that we do is we raise animals as well. So we have cattle. So getting the kids integrated into sorting cattle, the oldest, no problem giving shots, youngest, no problem giving shots. That other aspect, the work aspect of outdoors, right? Like, what does it take to work calves? What does it take to wean calves, tag cattle? So
Yeah.
that's another component of what we do. And that's a whole nother aspect and a whole nother storyline that we'll cover on the podcast with guests.
All right. So where can we find your podcast?
You can find it on YouTube, Apple, Spotify, anywhere that you watch your podcast or listen to your podcast. And you can also look me up on girldadadoutdoorspodcast.com.
All right. Well, I want to thank you for taking the time to speak to us today and teach us a little bit more about Girl Dad Outdoors and how fathers or mothers can
Absolutely.
get their daughters into the outdoors just like we do.
Absolutely. No, I appreciate the opportunity, Chris. Thanks.
All right. And I want to thank Safari Club International, Underwood Ammo, and Hunt of a Lifetime for sponsoring this episode. And if you have not subscribed to the American Outdoor News Podcast, hit that subscribe button now. And then go to girldadadoutdoors.com.
Girl Dad Outdoors Podcast.
Podcast.com, and check out their podcast as well. Until next week, we'll see you again.
We love our children. We protect them. We guide them. We prepare them for life in the world. With all that we do, from deep in our hearts, we cannot control all things. Life-threatening illnesses and disabilities affect far too many of our children each year. While we cannot change the circumstance, we can make dreams come true. Dreams to provide hope, to provide spiritual healing and strength, to provide moments of happiness and relief in the hardest of times. We can give a glimmer of light and hope in a time of darkness and despair. Join huntofalifetime.org to help make dreams come true, to provide hope for children with life-threatening illnesses and disabilities. Hunt of a Lifetime is a nonprofit organization fulfilling dreams for hunting and fishing trips to youth 21 and under with life-threatening illnesses and disabilities. Visit huntofalifetime.org to learn how you can make a difference.